Okay, I'm going to tie another Hendrickson. I'll be fishing this season. This one it's another emerger, but it's a little more complicated than that last one I tied, which I'll link at the top. There'll be like a banner that goes across. This one is a deer hair snowshoe rabbit wing and a Biot dubbing body. So clearly, a couple more steps. And it's on a straight shank hook. You can tie it on a curved, and I don't know, there's one right here. It's on a curved. It's pretty much the same thing, but the other one was on a curve, so I'm going to tie this one on a straight. The hook I'm using is this Sprite all-purpose dry S1401. This is size 14. This is a really good budget hook, I tell you. This package is $50, and it's less than $10. I think it might even be $8. And I've been using them a lot. I mean, as you can see, there's one hook left in that package, so we got to get this right on this try here with this video, because I only got one left after this. All right, let me show you how it's tied. The thread I'm using is this Giorgio Benici. This is I think they call this the Superfine, and it's the color tobacco. So I think on that other Hendrickson, I think I use like an 80 tan uni. You can use that. I don't think it really matters too much. Something close to the dubbing and the Biot color would be good. So halfway, and go back up. Now, it took me about a dozen of these to figure out the best way to tie them, because there's a lot of steps, and it's like a lot of messy steps too. Deer hair and snowshoe rabbit are real messy. This one I'm using here is like a gray. See that? It's not a super dark gray, but I would say it's on the darker side. Basically, I'm trying to match the deer hair color. The deer hair, like the buoyant part of it. Now, so here's a little trick. Whenever you're going to cut something off that you're not putting in a stacker, but you need to tie it tips forward, it can be a real pain, because you take the material in your left hand, right, and you cut it with your right hand, and now what do you have? You have the butts. So you switch them to the hand, this other hand, now you got the tips facing the wrong way. So here's what I do. I take my pointer finger and I put it right up against the other pointer. Make sure all this material is together. And I essentially push the material with just my pointer finger. See that? And I took my thumb away. Now I put my other thumb in there. And I roll it to the opposite side. Now, the key is you got to keep tight on the material at all times. That's why if you try and do something weird, trying to switch hands, it's going to get all screwed up. So that method that's the method I use to twist it around without getting it all screwed up. If you want, you can just put a little bit of moisture in it just to keep them together. It's not too long, half the shank. That's really all you need. That is really, that's it right there is good. That'll wrap back. Keep those butt ends. Clip them off. Take the thread down to the hook bend. The tail is, if I can find it, is this hen. Need about, I don't know, 10 fibers. Make sure they're all in line. It's about the shank or something like that. Shank length. Put 2 turns on and take a look. That's good. And then cut it so that it matches that taper you made with the snowshoe rabbit. Now if you want a really thin body, which is a Biot on this, let's start the twist on me here. If you want a really thin body, you can tie in that Biot before you run your thread up, but I don't want it to be too thin, so I'm going to go up and then I'm going to come back down. So what I meant by that is that you could put 2 turns on the tail and then tie the Biot in and run them both up. So you'd be saving 1 turn of thread. But I'm okay with this size. The tan Biot. This is turkey. You want to use a turkey for a body because the turkey is going to be bigger than a goose. Goose is good for like tails or something, or a leg or something. But if you need to wrap, you need turkey. And you want to fight the curve when you turn it on. So see, the curve is there. The inside of the curve goes against the hook shank. And that's because when you turn it, you want the barb to be on the hook bend side. I'll show you when I turn it on. If you do it the other way, then when you make a turn, your turn is going to cover up the barb. I'm just going to go down halfway here. And then back up. Yeah, that's good. Super glue, just put it towards the back, because if you put it too far up, you know, the Biot's gonna push it this way. So if you go too far up, it's gonna just push it right out, and it could just go into your wing, which you don't want. Got a little small hackle plier that's very tough to get open because it's so small. But you need it to be light, because if it's too heavy, you could break the Biot. So you see that? See the barb is towards the back of the hook, and that next turn doesn't cover it up. Well, if it was the opposite way, it would cover it up, and you'd have a problem. Looks like I got one piece of snowshoe that got caught underneath there, which is, that's fine, it's covered up. And that's good. Just put 2 turns in there to hold it. Cut that off. And then clean it by going up. Now, if you notice, I haven't put deer hair in yet. That's because that's basically the last thing you do is put deer hair in. And that's one of the things I figured out. So if you try and put the deer hair in before, you have these butt ends, right? And then you're just fighting the butt ends the whole time, which means okay, let's cut them off. Then you cut them off, and you can't get the dubbing in underneath the butt end. So you gotta wait. Gotta wait to the end. So you get this dubbing. This is what I'm using. Nature Spirit Hendrickson 27. Very little bit. You're just trying to cover up those thread turns. Super thin. Can't stress that enough. Don't go nuts. I think that's it. I don't know if you noticed, doing this super fine dub is so, once you twist it onto this thread, it's damn near impossible to get off. You have to grab it as close as you can to the shank and pull straight in line with the thread, and that will tear it from the top, and then it'll bunch up into a little ball down here, and then you pull it off. Okay, so now we're in between the dubbing and the snowshoe. Deer hair. Short patch, short tips. That's what you want. And you want a decent amount, but not crazy. Because don't forget, you got a dry fly hook here, and if you have too much deer hair, it's going to require too much pressure to compress it. And these fine wire hooks, they don't stand up to a real, crank down like you would if you were spinning deer hair. But you do need enough for the wing. Into the stacker. I'm just going to take a little bit off. Alright, now the length is just past the snowshoe. The snowshoe is, I don't know, half the shank. This is going to be like 3/4. Not crazy long. Get it down, try and get as close to the shank as possible. And don't try and compress this whole thing on the first shot. Do a third, then put another turn in. Do another third. Then put another third in, and another turn in. And if you try and compress it all in one shot, first of all, it's not going to work, and second of all, you could break your thread. So do a lot of pinch and loops. Don't put them all into the same spot. Go back a hair. That's in. I don't know how many turns that was, 6 or 7 or something, but and never let go of the butt ends. That's important. And you get your scissors, you still don't let go of them. You pick them up, and you cut them off pretty close. And you can trim this a little bit now, or you can wait. Sometimes I like to wait because if you mess with this too much before the deer hair is completely tied in, you could have a problem. But I think it's pretty good. I'll clean it up a little bit more afterwards. So now we got 6 or 7 turns in here, and now we're going to try and go forward, but we're going to go forward through the deer hair. And we're going to do that with just a little bit of dubbing. Not too much, just a little bit. Very thin. First do it between the cut ends where you were just tying in. Make sure you don't trap in any butt ends. This will just cover up some of the turns. There it is. Now, pick up like a third of this wing, see that? And turn it in. Give it a good crank. Take another third, give it a good crank. Make sure this is on there tight. Then pick up the last part and turn this dubbing in and go back towards the wing. And you're sort of like building up a head, but make sure the dubbing is tight. If you have to stop and tighten it up, do it like I just did. You're creating a head, but you're also locking everything in, posting it, and then immediately when you got that last turn, go forward right to the eye. Wing looks all right. Whip finish. These fishing flies, I'm just whip finishing. Do like 5 or 6 whip finishes. Just not even using head cement anymore. It's just tying so many of them. If for some reason it falls apart, then I just throw it in the garbage. Let me clean up this deer hair now. Let's see. Okay. So where's my tweezers here? There we go. So take a look at that wing. That's what I'm going for with the wing. It's kind of like a I don't know what you want to call it, the sunrise wing, where it's flat on the bottom and has a circular shape to it. That's what I want. And it's got the snowshoe in the front, which is wiry, and it's got the deer hair, which is straight, and that's what I'm going for. So my thought is that the snowshoe, since it's wiry, it'll be legs, but the color will also blend in to the wing. So it'll leave the impression of a wiry leg, but the color will still be there. And that's it. That is it. So Hendrickson Emerger, deer hair snowshoe rabbit, and a Biot dubbing body. All right. Thanks.